While the Democrats were holding their incredibly enthusiastic and moving convention this week, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's running mate, decided he was going to go across the country and, be a normal guy, do normal guy things and, campaign, meet with people, shake their hands, go into small businesses and do whatever. And he did that in a donut shop. And it could not have gone worse for J.D. Vance. This man was given one task and one task only. Go out there and be a normal person. That's it. That's all you got to do. Don't be weird. Don't be creepy. Don't be awkward. Don't be Ron DeSantis. Act like you've actually interacted with other human beings at some point in your life before. And Vance goes, "All right, Captain, you can count on me." So he goes into a donut shop with his whole crew, camera crew, everybody, big entourage. And this is how it went.
The zoo has come to town. Thank you for letting us come in here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man? Okay, yeah. She doesn't want to be on film, guys, so just cut her out of anything. Appreciate that, man. I'm J.D. Vance. I'm running for vice president. Good to see you.
Okay.
How long have you worked here?
I've been here since the beginning of July.
Okay.
For this year.
Okay, good. How about you, sir?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, good. Just everything, yeah. I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense. How long has this place been around?
About 4 years.
About 4 years? Okay. How long have you been here?
A little over 6 months.
Okay, good.
Again, all he had to do was be a normal person. And instead, he acted like this is the first time he has ever spoken to a fellow human being. How are you? How long have you worked here? How long have you worked here, kind sir? What are these? You have lots of glaze. Just, give me whatever. These round discs of sustenance shall be plenty of fuel for me to continue my day. Like, is this your first day on Earth? This was the most awkward thing I have ever seen in my life. So, and I love the fact that the one lady there's like, I don't even want to be on camera. Like, no, we're not doing this. So clearly his people didn't vet the establishment. Like, let me read you this because W. Kamau Bell, a comedian and television host, he actually laid it out perfectly as to why this was such a disaster. Here's what he put on Twitter. He said, "Fire your whole team. They clearly hate you. This is TV production 101 and they failed it." Then he goes on to list several points. He says, number one, someone is supposed to scout ahead and make sure everyone there is interested in being on camera and excited to talk to you. And if your team finds out that no one at the place is interested in talking to you and some don't even want to be on camera with you, situations that I'm sure you're used to by now, then your team needs to just find another establishment. That nothing could be more true than what he just said right there. Your team is supposed to make sure that the people in there want you there. They want to be on camera and that they're happy that you're there. And his team couldn't even do that for him. And he goes on to point number two. Someone is supposed to prep you with names and talking points. This is especially true because, as you know, you are horrible at small talk. Your team must even know this by now. Your team has to give you follow-up questions so you're ready to go. What's your best-selling donut? What's your favorite? What do you recommend? What's your favorite part of your job? Do you eat too many donuts because you work here? This is simple stuff, but again, I get that it is extremely hard for you to speak to humans. That's why you need a better team. And then he goes on to point number three. In lieu of small talk, which I would recommend you skipping because you are, again, horrible at it, your team should have given you a pre-decided order so you were ready for the difficult task of ordering donuts. His team did fail him. I will say that. As bad as J.D. Vance was there, his team should have prepared him for this. They should have prepared the location for this. Instead, they thought it'd be better, like, let's just do it totally off the cuff. You don't know where we are. You act like you've never eaten a donut before. You don't know how to speak to people. What could go wrong? Here you go. And they shove him in a donut shop. And it's the most awkward thing since Ron DeSantis' fake laugh that we've all seen the video and images from where he's like, How are Republicans just so bad at being people, like just being a human, treating other people with dignity and respect and making small talk just like you do? Listen, I'm not a small talk guy. Okay, that's one of the main reasons I'll never run for politics. I'm not good at those situations either. I'm kind of an awkward guy sometimes. But that's why I don't put myself in those situations. But Vance put himself in those situations, and he's just as awkward. If you can't hack it, don't do it. Don't sign up for it. Politics is not something anybody is forced to do. You make that choice yourself. And clearly it was the wrong choice for a guy like J.D. Vance. Here's where things get a little more complicated for Vance. And by complicated, I mean so much worse. This little trip to the donut shop and everything else that Vance did this past week was supposed to be to rehabilitate his image. Because the latest poll numbers came out, and it's funny because they actually came out after the donut shop incident, but of course, polls were taken before it happened. And according to polling aggregate 538, J.D. Vance's disapproval rating has gone up. Now, about a week ago, J.D. Vance was sitting at a net negative 9, which means the gap between people who disliked him and people who liked him was 9 points. Well, that gap increased. He is now at net negative 10. So his disapproval rating has gone up by 1 point in the last week because people do not like him. And of course, this week, even before it got to negative 10, when it was still negative 9, Vance was asked by a reporter about his horrible approval rating, and Vance responded saying, quote, "Well, look, I don't believe the polls when they say that we're up. I don't believe the polls when they say tied. I don't believe the polls that say we're down. Our job is to win the trust of the American voters, not public opinion polls." You do realize, I mean, you can see as a guy that went to Harvard how those things are related, though, right? I mean, you're sitting there like, hey, our job is to win elections, not win polls about how people are going to vote. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. If people do not like you, if they have a negative opinion of you, they're going to be far less likely to vote for you. You have to understand that, right? I mean, I know that you're highly educated, yet somehow still very stupid, but even you have to understand the correlation between the two, right? But I guess not. Like, he seems to literally not understand the connection between being deeply unliked and winning an election. Now, I will say, when Vance was running for Senate 2 years ago, at this point, he was losing in the polls. He did go on to win by 6.1 percentage points, which was a very large win. So, yes, polls change. Sometimes, believe it or not, polls are not accurate. Okay? I mean, we saw it in 2016, although the argument can be made about 2016 that the polls were more accurate than they get credit for, because Clinton did win the popular vote. And that's what these public opinion polls are representing, not necessarily electoral college votes, but popular vote. So they weren't as off as a lot of people like to claim they were, because they don't bother to dig past headlines and actually look at data. People are lazy. But Vance right now is in trouble. He is dragging down this Trump ticket in ways that I don't think anybody could have even predicted. And it's failing. It's failing because he can't talk to people. He can't act like a regular human being. Instead, it looks like an alien put on a J.D. Vance suit and went out there and tried to gather as much information possible about human beings before going back to the mothership. That's not going to win you any favors, buddy. It's not going to win you any voters. But you do you, I guess. Keep denying reality, denying all of the polls. Because it's not like every single poll is going to be wrong, dude. They're out there. They're telling you people hate you. And yet you're denying them and still acting like a giant weirdo. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.